the Always Believe house. Oh, today we're going to have a rock and roll fun time because we're going to do another star review. Oh, 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 oh. And it's going to be F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Oh, so let's get going and a magical whiteboard appears and let's have some F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Oh, what a great day. Great day for some math problems. Oh, 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 oh. So if you look at number 1, this star review is very similar to the one last week. It's going to have a lot of similar problems. If you're doing these star reviews, you will pass the star. You'll probably get committed, which means hopefully they'll turn that into an exemption for your Algebra 1 exam. Oh, so let's get going. On the first problem, remember this 81 has a 1 exponent. So I'm going to distribute that 1/2 to these 4. And I'm only going to do one of these for you. So I'm going to have 81 to the 1/2, x to the 8 times 1/2, and y to the negative 24 times 1/2. Now then, on your calculator, you could punch 81 to the 1/2, okay? You can punch 81, caret 1/2, boom, it gives you the answer. Remember, a 1/2 exponent is the same thing as the square root, though. So 81 to the 1/2 is going to be 9. My first letter is x. 8 times 1/2 is 4. My second letter is y. Negative 24 times 1/2 is negative 12. That could be the answer if they don't want any negative exponents, which Algebra 1 tries to make you write it in positive exponents only. That 12 is going to go to the bottom in it. So 9x to the 4th over y to the 12th. Oh, I'm going to let you do the next one on your own. Number 2. You will graph this into the calculator. Then hit Control-T. And then find these numbers and write down the answers, okay? So you just graph it, hit Control-T. That's one way you could go from the domain to the range, okay? Piece of cake. Number 3, a sequence. We're going to do this, I believe, Wednesday and Thursday this week. A sequence is when you write it from the first term. So the way you write this is you write down a to the n equals the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Okay, so our first term is 34. That's going to go right here. And then the common difference, d, these are going down by 3 in it. So this is going to be our common difference. This is a piece of cake. This is the same thing as an mx plus b, but an mx plus b goes from the 0 term. A sequence uses the first term. Okay, so our first term is 34. Then you push plus n minus 1, and then the common difference is negative 3. This right here is how you would write that sequence. So in a if this were mx plus b, it would be negative 3x plus 37, because 37 would be the 0 term, wouldn't it? So this would be negative 3x plus 37, y equals, that would be the mx plus b, but in a sequence you do this, okay? Same thing, but you're using the first term instead of the 0 term, and it's in a different form, okay? We'll work on this Wednesday. Let's go to the next problem. I'm going to let you factor on these right here. Remember, these are square roots and they do something special. Look at last week's paper and figure those out. This one's going to be kind of hard. So we're going to do 21 times 40, and 21 times 40 is 840. That's a huge number. So we're going to go to the calculator, go to graph. So I'm going to hit home and B, and then I'm going to graph 840 divided by x. Not 440. Sorry about that. 840. 840 divided by x. Hit enter. And then when I hit Control-T, it's going to give me the factors, right? Control-T. Oh, did I hit the T? There we go. We have all the factors. This x and y is going to multiply and give me 840. Now then, look at the paper. We want to subtract and get 11. So I'm going to keep going down this table until I subtract and get 11. Okay, so I'm going to go to the table and I'm just going to keep hitting the down button until this subtracts and gives me 11. Notice if it's a decimal, it's not going to divide evenly. So I need to subtract. That's 36. That's still way off. As you go down, they're going to get closer and closer. So 20 is what? 20 is 42, so that's 22. Need to keep going. This takes a while. 24, that's it. 24 and 35 subtracts and gives me 11. If I multiply that, that gives me the 840. So we're going to use 24 and 35, and 35 is bigger in it. Okay, so that's how you do that with the calculator to get that factor, okay? So one of the hardest things you do in Algebra 1 all year is to factor, okay? So you got to put that C term divided by X, and it gives you the factors. So we're going to use 35 and 24. So I'm going to write 35 and 24 if my pen works, right? Okay, now then the 35 is going to be negative, and the 24 to get the 11 has to be positive, right? Now then I'm going to put 21x on the bottom of each fraction. And this pen, hopefully it makes it through the video, okay? Both of these simplify. The first one divides by 7. So if I do that, I get negative 5 over, sorry about the pen, 3x. And the next one, they divide by 3. That would be plus 8 over 7x. Now then, notice, if I look at the top numbers, negative 5 times 8 is the negative 40. 3x times 7x is my 21x squared in it. So those are going to turn into my factors. So my factors will be 3x minus 5 and 7x plus 8. Okay, so those turn into the factors that if I multiply that up, I go back to the problem, okay? Piece of cake. Number 5, one of the hardest things you have to do. I'm going to do one of them. Y'all usually don't like fractions, so I'll do the first one. On number 5, that fraction's 1/2. The opposite of divide by 2 is to multiply by 2. Notice this is a bluebell chart that goes through this, so I'm only going to put 1 2 up here, and I'm going to put a 2 over the a. So 2 times a is 2a equals, and these 2's cancel out. All that's left is the 1, so if I distribute that 1, these won't change, will they? So I'm going to get 2a equals 3b plus 2h. Okay? Now then, I want to solve this for h, so I should have circled the h right off at the back, okay? Now then, I'm going to move the 3b to the left, so that's going to change the positive 2b, and this pen is like not writing good, minus 3b equals 2h. Now then, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so the 2's cancel out over here, and I get h equals 2a, sorry about my pen, minus 3b all over 2. Piece of cake. You do the same thing on the next one. The next one, you don't have a fraction. So the next one, you're going to move across the 2w, divide by 2, and then subtract the 3, okay? You could do that. Number 6, look at last week's and work this out, okay? You should be able to do this on number 6. Work it out, look at last week's paper and work through it, okay? You should be okay on those. Number 7, this means x makes y happen. Okay, so look at these through here and circle the one where the first term makes the second one happen, okay? If it doesn't correlate, or if it doesn't have a causation, you won't circle it. I will post the key to this online later in the week so you can check your answers, okay, next week after it's due. Number 8, we need to get the rate of change. I'm going to do one of these for you. I'm going to do the top one because it's easier. To get the rate of change, remember this is y per x. Jiminy crickets. Okay, so my y is dollars and my x is tacos, right? Okay, so I need to get my y minus y and my x minus x. So 6 minus 3 is 3 and 2 minus 4 is 2 in it. If I put y over x, I get 3 over 2. Since it's money, that would turn into $1.50. $1.50 per taco. Money per taco, right? That's what you're getting there, right? Piece of cake. Number 9. I'm going to let you do these. Hopefully you know these, okay? please know next week I will post the key. After this is due, I'll post the key. If you don't turn it in on time and I post the key, you're going the highest grade you're going to get is a 50, okay? Make sure you're looking at the key, checking these. If you're doing these correctly, you will get commended on Staar, okay? Turn the page! Okay, now then I'm going to show you a new way to do number 10, and this is what you're doing in the lesson today. So I want you to do both of these like you're doing in the lesson today. You've never done this before. So we're going to go through this. Hopefully you're doing this first before the lesson. Okay, the lesson is going to have more repetition on this, okay? You've never done this before. Okay, now this is going to be tough on me because I'm going to have to go back and forth on this. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the calculator and turn that table into an equation. We're going to use the calculator and you're going to learn how to turn that, and it's going to give us the mx plus b. Then we're going to have to switch the mx plus b to standard. Okay, so to use the calculator, okay, you're going to hit the home button and then hit 1. So hit the home button and we want 1. Now then, when you get to here, you don't want to save anything, so click No. Now then, we want to add, Jiminy Crickets, need to do it again, so home, 1, and then we want to add a list or spreadsheet, which is 4. You're going to do this several times today, and you'll get the hang of it. The first thing you want to do is go up to the top left where it says A. Hit X, and then hit Enter. What that does is it tells you, the calculator, that column is my X-axis. Now then, do not put anything in the gray box where that blue square is. You're going to hit the right arrow button and the up button. What's the other axis? It's Y, right? So type in Y, hit Enter, and now you got your X and Y. Now then, you're going to hit the down and arrow button to go to the top left. So hit the down and left, and now I'm at the top left. I'm going to type in all of my X's. So I have this, the first thing you do on this, every time, you got to put X and Y at the top, leave the gray spaces blank, and then you start putting in your table. So I'm going to go here, my X's are -6, 9, 12, 18. -6, 9, 12, 18. So not minus, -6, 9, 12, and 18. So -6, 9, 12, 18. Did I do that right? Yes, I did. Now then, the Y's are -9, 1, 3, 7. -9, 1, 3, 7. So I'm going to hit the right arrow button, and I'm going to go back up to that first row, and one more time, -9, 1, 3, 7. So I'm going to type in -9, hit Enter, 1, Enter, 3, Enter, 7. 7, 7, Enter. Now then I have my table. Everyone with me? Piece of cake so far. Now then, the next part is kind of steppy, but after you do this 2 or 3 times, it gets easy. Trust me, it gets easy. You're going to be thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to remember it. It's not hard, okay? So what we're going to do is turn that table into an mx plus b, and we're going to run what is called a linear regression. So we're about to do a linear regression on this, because this would be a row of dots that would form a line, okay? So hit Menu. Now then, we want to run statistics, so hit 4. Then we want to do stat calculations. Like I said, this is kind of steppy. Stat calculations is 1. And then we want to run a linear regression for mx plus b, which is 3. So type in 3. When you get here, your x list is x and your y list is y. So please listen. Please do this. X, down, y, down, and then hit the Enter. X down, Y down, Enter, and you get all this stuff to the right. Okay? What this stuff means, y'all look. Do y'all see where it says M? Okay, to the right is what M is. It's 0.6666. Hopefully you know that 0.666 is 2/3. This is the hardest thing on this because you got to switch the decimal to a fraction. And the B is -5. So my slope is 2/3 and my B is -5. And if you look down at the R, and you're going to talk about this in a minute, it went more than once. Okay, do you see where it says R? That's something called the correlation coefficient. Normally a scatter plot, the dots are all over it. The R tells you how close those dots are to the line. Notice our R equals 1. That means we have a positive slope and every single dot is on the line. So this graph's a perfect line. Our slope, the M, is going to be 2/3 and our Y-intercept is -5. Isn't that easy? You can also do this with 2 points. If you have 2 points, you can do the same thing. It would give you the slope and the Y-intercept of those 2 points. Pretty cool stuff. You're going to do this in the lesson today. You're going to get more rep. Okay, so M is 2/3 and B is -5. So I'm going to put M equals 2/3 and B, my pen is running out, hopefully it makes it -5. Now then, I'm going to write my Y-intercept equation. So Y equals 2/3 x minus 5. Bam! That's a lot easier than getting the 2 points, plugging it into point slope and switching it in it, okay? You're going to learn a lot of calculator tricks between now and STAR to make this test easier, but if you're not using the calculator, it's not going to help. Now then, we got to switch that to standard. So I'm going to write down Y equals 2/3x minus 5. First thing we need to do is get rid of that fraction, don't we? So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. Remember, we want to get this to where it looks like ax plus by equals c. Sorry, my pen's messing up. So 3 times y is 3y equals, these 3's cancel out, so I have 2x, and then 3 times -5 is -15. Now then, all I got to do is move the x to the left, don't I? Ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to take the 2x and move it to the left. When I do that, the positive 2x will turn into a negative 2x, won't it? So negative 2x plus, sorry about this, 3y equals -15. And then someone tell me what's wrong. Excellent job. Okay, Sophia knew it. The x is negative. The x can't be negative, so I'm going to switch all the signs. So my ax, my standards, is going to be 2x minus 3y equals 15. Boom, that's it. So that's going to be my standard equation. 2x minus 3y equals 15. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Okay, watch the video again, like rewind it and see if you can do the next table. You're going to do this a lot more today in today's lesson, okay? Let's go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to start you off on this and let you finish it because we did this last week. Right now the slope is 1/2. And I want a perpendicular slope, don't I? So I'm going to get the perpendicular slope of that. And the perpendicular slope, we're going to flip and switch the sign. It's going to be -2, right? This is my x, this is my y. We're going to plug this into point slope and switch it, right? So I'm going to get y minus 7 equals -2 parentheses x plus 5. That's my point slope. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And this is on your chart, your formula chart. So you won't have to memorize that. The more you do it, though, y'all probably already have that memorized, okay? Now that you're just going to switch this to y-intercept and standard, this is not hard because there's not a fractional slope. You should be able to do that. Let's keep going. This is a hard problem here. We did this last week. I'm going to start you off on it. Remember, your vertex form is y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so we know all of this but a, so we're going to plug this in. So the quadratic goes through this point, that's x and y, and then this is going to be my h and k. Okay, so I'm just going to plug these numbers in. So y is 10, I do not know what a is, the x is 2, the h flips signs, So the h is going to be minus 5 squared, and then the k is negative 8. Now then, I'm going to do the next step for you and let you finish up. We got to find out what a is. So you have to do this part first. So 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3, or negative 3 squared, is 9. So this is going to turn into 10 equals 9a minus 8. Now then, we could solve that for a, can't we? We can move the 8 over, and I'll do this for you. If you move the 8 over, plus 8, you'll get 18 equals 9a, and then divide by 9, and a is going to end up being 2 in it. So I'm going to put the 2 right here. My h is minus 5, remember it flips, and my k is minus 8. Now then, you're going to switch that to standard, okay? You can do that. Watch the video from last week. Right here, this is a piece of cake, okay? I'm going to do one of them for you. The negative is a reflect across the x-axis, right? Watch the video from last week if you forgot. Sorry, my pen's messed up. The 1/2. The 1/2 is a vertical compress in it. It's going to make it flatter, right? So a vertical compress. The STAR test may also say horizontal stretch. A horizontal stretch is the same as a vertical compress. And then lastly, there's no parentheses, so it's not moved left or right. The plus 7 is a translate up 7. And sorry, my pen is messed up. Okay, you can finish the last 2, okay? But numbers inside of parentheses, it's telling you that that it's moving right or left, okay? Let's go to 14. Convert the quadratic to standard. I'm going to do 1 for you, okay? And I'm going to do the shortcut. So you're going to write down 1/2 parentheses. Remember, square, square, multiply, double. So x times x is x squared. 2 times 2 is skip a spot, put plus 4. And then we multiply and double. 2 times x is 2x. If I double that, I get the 4x. If that throws you for a loop, you got to put x plus 2 times x plus 2 and multiply it out, okay? Then I'm going to drop the plus 5. The next step is to distribute this 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to distribute the 1/2, and I'm going to get 1/2 x squared plus 2x plus 2 plus 5. Then I'm going to group that. 1/2 x squared plus 2x, sorry, my pen's messing up, plus 7. Piece of cake. Do the next one on your own. Okay, solve by the quadratics. Y'all please listen. You can solve these for 0, graph, and trace. That always works. Solve it for 0, graph, and trace. It's going to give you a decimal though. Okay, but that always works. So on 15, I would move the 50 over. I would get x plus 3 squared minus 50. I would graph that and trace to the zeros. Now then, I'm going to show you how to do it algebraically. That second power, remember, we could square root that. So it's going to be x plus 3 equals, and the square root of 50, we can't get it, so it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 50. And I'm sorry, my pen's messing up. Then we're going to move over the 3, so x, too many crickets, equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 50. If you were to graph that and trace, it would give you the decimal of 3 plus the square root of 50 and 3 minus the square root of 50. That's going to be a decimal answer, okay? Let's go to number 6. On this one, it factors, okay? Multiply, get 24. Subtract and get 10. That's going to be 12 and 2 in it. And then put the x's on the bottom. And this is going to be a negative and a plus, right? So I'm going to get x minus 12. Sorry about my pen. And x plus 2 equals 0. Remember, these are the factors. The zeros and the factors are opposites. So my zeros are going to be x equal a positive 12 and a negative 2. At 12 and negative 2, that's where that parabola is going to cross the x-axis. Number 17, this does not factor. So you could graph it, trace it to the zeros, or use the quadratic formula, okay? My pen's kind of running out. I will put the key on the key. It will be for the quadratic formula, but graph that and trace to the zeros, and that will be the decimal of the answers, okay? Let's keep going. You just took a test on this. The scores were amazing. Exponential functions, a piece of cake in it. Piece of cake. Now then, I'm going to do this in my brain. This right here is the y-intercept, right? So the input of 0 is going to give me 5. Then if I go to the right, I'm going to multiply by 0.5, aren't I? Or multiply by 1/2. So 5 times 0.5 is 2.5. I'm going to put decimals in here because we're going to graph them. And then 2.5 times 1/2 is 1.25. The number would keep getting smaller, wouldn't it? Now then, if I go to the left, the opposite of multiply by 1/2 is multiply by 2, aren't I? So I'm going to multiply by 2. The number's got to get bigger in it. 5 times 2 is 10. And 10 times 2 is 20. Jiminy crickets. This is like sticking. I got to get a new pen tip. Okay, now then, let's graph these. So negative 2, 20 is going to be off the graph. Negative 1, 10. 0, 5, that's the y-intercept. 1, 2.5. And 1, 1.25 is about right here. And it's going to do something like this in it. Now then, remember, these are the numbers for the domain and the range, right? Okay, so let's go over here. The y-intercept of the graph is 5. And in a real-life problem, that's the initial amount, right? If my pen works. Okay, the common product would be 0.5 or 1/2. That means it's exponential decay, right? Because the graph goes down. The domain is going to go from negative 2 to 2. So the domain goes from negative 2 less than or equal to positive 2, doesn't it? The range is going to go from 1.25 to 20. Remember, don't go left or right, small to big. So the range starts at 1.25 and goes up to 20, and then you put less than or equal signs. Piece of cake. Hope you have enjoyed this today. It's been a blast. I will post the key next week, like Tuesday or Wednesday, so you can make sure to check it, because I'll only spot grade this if you haven't figured it out. Okay? Just look through it, make sure you did it, and spot grade it. I'll post the key. Make sure you're doing these right. If you're doing these right, you are going to knock the socks out of Staar, okay? Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching me today. You are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.